Han Seo-jun said it on the first night. Stood in the kitchen of his own penthouse, poured himself a glass of water, and looked at Serena Blake like she was a line item on a spreadsheet. This is a business arrangement. Nothing more. Don't make it complicated. Serena looked back at him. Wasn't planning to. He went to his room. Closed the door. That was that. 31 days later, a delivery guy knocked on the front door at 7:13 a.m. Young kid. Maybe 22. Wearing a green jacket with a small logo on the chest, Waesong Florals, Gangnam. He was holding a single white peony wrapped in brown paper with a dusty rose ribbon tied around the stem. Serena opened the door in her robe, coffee in hand. He bowed slightly. Held out the flower. Blake residence? Yes. He handed it over. Walked back to the elevator. Gone. No card. No name. Nothing. Serena stood in the doorway holding a peony at 7 in the morning, alone in a city she didn't grow up in, married to a man who'd told her not to make things complicated. She looked down the hallway. Seo-jun's door was closed. Already gone for the day. She put the flower in a glass of water on the kitchen counter. Went to work. Day 32. Same kid. Same green jacket. Same time. 3 peonies this time. Still no card. Day 33. 5 stems. Dusty rose ribbon. The kid bowed, handed them over, left. Efficient. Like a routine. By day 35, Serena was awake before he knocked. She didn't know why. She just was. 8 months earlier, Serena Blake was sitting in a hospital billing office in Atlanta trying not to let the woman across the desk see her hands shaking. The number on the paper was $214,000. 18 months of cardiac care. Her mother's last 18 months. The insurance had covered some. Not enough. Serena's younger sister Jade was starting at Spelman in the fall on a partial scholarship. The rest of the tuition was on Serena. Had always been on Serena. Jade didn't know that. Serena made sure she didn't. She drove home. Sat in the parking lot of her apartment building for 20 minutes. Didn't go inside. Her phone rang. Seoul number. She let it ring 3 times. Ms. Blake. A woman's voice. Korean accent. Precise. My name is Jiyeon. I'm executive assistant to Han Seo-jun, chairman-elect of Han Capital Group. Mr. Han is seeking a contract spouse for a period of 12 months. Full compensation package. Legal documentation. I'm calling because your name was referred to us through a mutual professional contact. Serena said nothing. Ms. Blake. Who referred me? I'm not at liberty to say. What's the compensation? Jiyeon told her. Serena sat in that parking lot for another 10 minutes after the call ended. Then she went inside, opened her laptop, and looked up Han Seo-jun. 43 results in the first search. Forbes Korea. Bloomberg. Financial Times. The man was real. The money was real. She booked a flight to Seoul 4 days later. Han Capital's executive floor was the kind of place that made you feel underdressed even in your best clothes. All glass and pale stone. Assistants who didn't make eye contact. An elevator that moved so smoothly you couldn't tell it was moving. Jiyeon met her at the reception desk. Mid-30s. Slim. Professional in the way that meant she'd seen everything and reacted to none of it. She walked Serena to a corner office and left without a word. Seo-jun was already standing when she entered. Tall. Charcoal suit. He didn't smile. Didn't offer his hand. Looked at her the way someone looks at a contract before they read the fine print. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. She sat. He didn't. He opened a folder. Slid it across the desk. Kept standing. These are the terms. Read them. Serena read them. Public appearances twice monthly, she said. Separate rooms. No disclosure of the arrangement. Duration 12 months. Correct. And the exit clause is mutual? Correct. She closed the folder. Looked up at him. Add 10% to the base figure. Something shifted in his face. Not quite surprise. More like recalibration. He looked at her for 3 full seconds. Then he reached across the desk, uncapped his pen, and adjusted the number on the compensation page without a word. Initialed it. Slid it back. Serena signed. He signed. Jiyeon notarized. The whole meeting took 11 minutes. He was on a call before she reached the elevator. The penthouse was on the 30th floor. Han Riverview. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A kitchen that looked like nobody had ever used it, and a living room that felt more like a lobby than somewhere a person actually sat down. Serena had one suitcase and a carry-on. She unpacked both the same night. Organized. Efficient. Her clothes on her side of the wardrobe. Her toiletries in the guest bathroom. She made the bed tight, hospital corners, the way her mother taught her. Then she sat on the edge of it and looked at the ceiling. Her phone lit up. Jade. She answered before it rang twice. Okay, Jade said immediately. Send pictures. Is it nice? How nice? Scale of 1 to penthouse. It's a penthouse, Jade. Shrieking. Serena held the phone away from her ear. Is he fine though? You didn't say if he's fine. That's not. Serena. Completely irrelevant. Oh my God. That means yes. Serena laughed. Real laugh. The kind that catches you by surprise. She hadn't done that in a while. Go to bed, she said. Text me everything. Every single thing. She hung up. The silence of the penthouse came back immediately. Different kind of silence than she was used to. Expensive silence. Seo-jun's light was on under his door. She didn't knock. She went to sleep. The next morning, she stepped into the kitchen at 7:14 a.m. One white peony on the counter. Brown paper. Dusty rose ribbon. The housekeeper, Mrs. O, was already in, quiet woman, 60s, moved through the apartment like a ghost. Serena held up the flower. Did you put this here? Mrs. O looked at it. No, ma'am. Was it here when you arrived? No, ma'am. Delivery came while I was in the back. Serena set it back on the counter. Seo-jun walked through the kitchen in his suit, picked up his Americano from the machine, and was at the front door in under 90 seconds. He didn't look at the flower. He didn't look at her. The door closed. Serena stood in the kitchen holding her coffee, looking at a white peony that nobody claimed, in a marriage that wasn't one, 30 floors above a city she barely knew. She stayed 15 minutes longer than she needed to before she left for work. Before we go further, type the very first word that came to your mind after that opening scene. Don't overthink it. Just drop it in the comments. Welcome to Lily's Afro-Korean Mafia Tales. If this story already has you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe. The flowers kept coming. Every morning. Same kid. Same green jacket. Same time, give or take a minute. By day 40, Serena had stopped pretending she wasn't watching the clock. The arrangements grew. Week 2, full bouquets, dried lavender woven between the peony stems, tied in that same dusty rose ribbon. Week 3, 3 shades of rose in a celadone vase that Serena Googled out of curiosity. The vase alone cost $600. She started leaving for work 15 minutes later than usual. Just to look at them properly. She didn't tell herself why. She just did it. Seo-jun was at breakfast one morning when she came in. This was new. He was at the kitchen island with his tablet and his Americano. Suit already on. Didn't look up. Serena went to the coffee machine. Made her cup. Sat 2 seats down from him. Neither of them spoke for 4 minutes. She counted. Then she looked at the flowers. That day's arrangement was the best one yet. 7 full peonies in the celadone vase. A small sprig of eucalyptus along the base. Do you know who's sending these? He turned a page on his tablet. Does it matter? It matters to me. He picked up his coffee. Took a drink. Then find out. That was the whole conversation. But he didn't leave right away. He sat there another 6 minutes finishing his coffee. She noticed. She didn't say anything about it. The first official public appearance was a Han Capital charity gala. 3rd week of the marriage. Rooftop venue in Itaewon. City spread out below it like a lit map. Jiyeon had briefed Serena on protocol the day before. Who to greet. Who to avoid. What to say if anyone asked how they met. There was a script. Serena read it once, memorized it, set it aside. She wore deep burgundy. Simple cut. Nothing she needed to explain. Seo-jun met her at the elevator. He looked at her for exactly 1 second, then looked away and straightened his cufflink. Stay close, he said. I know how to work a room, she said. He almost said something. Didn't. They walked in together. The room recalibrated when they entered. Not obviously. Just a slight shift, heads turning at the right pace, conversations dropping half a volume. Seo-jun moved through it like he'd done it 1,000 times, which he had. Serena matched him stride for stride. She was good at this. She'd spent 12 years in corporate finance learning exactly this skill. Read the room. Hold the room. Give nothing away. She was shaking hands with a board member's wife when she felt it, someone watching her from the other direction. Not Seo-jun's kind of watching, which was functional, efficient. This was different. She glanced left. Man by the dessert table. Korean American, looked like. Easy smile. Not trying too hard. She finished her conversation, excused herself, and drifted toward the table because she actually wanted the macarons, and she wasn't going to pretend otherwise. The salmon is terrible, the man said without looking up from his plate. Just so you know before you commit. Serena picked up a macaron. I wasn't considering the salmon. Smart. He looked up. Lim Cho-won. I'm a cardiologist. I come to these things to feel guilty about how little I donate. Serena. She didn't add the last name. I come to these things because apparently that's part of the job now. He smiled. Genuine. Uncomplicated. They talked for 8 minutes. Easy, low-stakes conversation. What brought her to Seoul? What she missed about the States. He'd done his residency at Johns Hopkins. They had 2 cities in common. She had not talked to anyone that easily in weeks. Seo-jun appeared at her left shoulder. Not from across the room. He was just suddenly there. She hadn't heard him move. There are people I need you to meet, he said. Neutral tone. Eyes on her, not on Lim Cho-won. Of course. She turned to Dr. Lim. Excuse me. Enjoy the macarons, Dr. Lim said. She went with Seo-jun. He walked slightly ahead, cleared a path through the crowd without effort. Who was that, he said, not looking at her. A cardiologist. Lim Cho-won. She looked at the side of his face. You knew who he was before you asked. He didn't answer. Just steered her toward a cluster of board members with his hand at the small of her back. Light touch. Brief. Disappeared the moment they reached the group. But it was there. Day 44. Serena ran into Dr. Lim at a bookstore near Gyeongbokgung. Genuinely coincidental, she was in the architecture section, he was in the medical journals. They got coffee at the place next door. She didn't plan it. Neither did he. He was the same as the gala. Easy. Warm. He asked about her work, actually listened to the answers. Asked what she'd found interesting about Seoul, what had surprised her. She talked for an hour and didn't notice the time until she looked down at her cup and found it empty. She walked home lighter than she'd felt since she landed. The penthouse was lit when she came in. Living room lights on. Seo-jun was on the couch with his laptop. First time she'd seen him in that room at all. He glanced up. Glanced back down. She took off her coat. Hung it. Went to pour herself water. Neither of them said anything. But at midnight, when she got up to use the bathroom, his bedroom light was still on. She stood in the hallway for a second. Then went back to bed. For days later, an email from Derek Holt. Serena read it twice. Derek was in Seoul for a fintech conference. Wanted to meet. Had a proposition, senior partnership at his firm in New York. Package she couldn't find fault with on paper. She and Derek had a complicated history that neither of them had ever named out loud. He'd been her mentor. Then something else for about 8 months 4 years ago. Then nothing, because she'd ended it before it became something she couldn't undo. He'd never quite let it be nothing. She replied. Said at dinner. Said nothing to Seo-jun. Ji-yeon found out, of course she did, because Serena used the concierge service to change a restaurant reservation and Ji-yeon monitored everything that touched the household accounts. Ji-yeon didn't tell Serena she knew. But that evening when Seo-jun came home from work at his usual 9 p.m., he walked through the kitchen without stopping, went to his room, and closed the door harder than usual. Not a slam. Just harder. Serena heard it from the couch. She looked at the door. Looked back at her book. Didn't move. The dinner with Derek was at a Japanese restaurant in Mapo. Small place. Good. The kind of spot that takes reservations 6 weeks out. Derek looked the same. That was the thing about Derek, he was always exactly the same. Polished. Confident. The kind of man who knew what he wanted and had a strategy for getting it. He stood when she walked in. Kissed her cheek. Held the chair. They ordered. Talked about the conference, about mutual colleagues, about New York. The The conversation was easy in the way that old habits are easy, not because they fit anymore, just because they're worn in. The job offer came out over the second course. Senior partnership. Corner office. A number that was genuinely serious. New York, Serena said. New York, he confirmed. You'd be home. Real home. She looked at her plate. I'm not unhappy here. He smiled. Patient. Like he'd expected that. You're working remotely in a city you didn't choose for a company that still thinks of you as the sole satellite. That's not a career, Serena. That's a holding pattern. She didn't argue. He wasn't entirely wrong. Then his hand came across the table and covered hers. Come home, he said. Lower now. More personal. This whole soul situation, it's not who you are. She looked at his hand on hers. Pulled hers back. Slow. Clear. You don't know who I am anymore, Derek. He sat back. Studied her. Something changed, he said. A lot of things changed. She meant her mother. Her life. 12 months of decisions she'd made alone. She didn't explain any of it. They finished dinner. He walked her out. Held the cab door. She thanked him for the offer. Meant it. Told him she'd think about it. Didn't mean that part. The penthouse was dark except for the living room. Seo-jun was at the window. Standing. Not looking at anything specific, just the city, 30 floors down. His jacket was off. Sleeves rolled to the elbow. A glass of water on the side table he hadn't touched. He heard her come in. Didn't turn around. Serena hung up her coat. Set down her bag. Stood in the doorway of the living room. The space between them had a specific weight tonight. She couldn't name it. It's late, he said. Still facing the window. I know. She went to bed. Lay there for 20 minutes looking at the ceiling. In the next room, she heard him move. The quiet sound of him finally sitting down. The building settling around them. She closed her eyes. Day 45. The delivery came at 7:11 today. 3 minutes early. The kid in the green jacket handed over the arrangement. Biggest one yet, 9 peonies, 3 shades of rose, eucalyptus at the base, the celadone vase swapped out for a matte white ceramic that was somehow even more expensive looking. Serena held it in both hands. She was almost certain it was Dr. Lim. The timing of it, meeting at the gala, the bookstore, the easy way he paid attention to her. It fit. Men who liked someone did things like this. Quietly. Without pressure. She wasn't upset about it. That was new information about herself. She put the arrangement on the kitchen island. Stood back. Looked at it. When Seo-jun came through at 7:30, later than usual, he stopped. Looked at the flowers. Said nothing. Poured his coffee. He was almost at the door when Serena spoke. Do you ever wonder who sends them? He stopped. Didn't turn around. No, he said. The door closed. She looked at the flowers for a long time after that. Chairman Han Byung-il's dinner was mandatory. Ji-yeon said that word specifically on the phone. Mandatory. Like Serena needed the clarification. The Han estate was in Songbuk-dong. Old money neighborhood. The house itself was traditional on the outside, modern inside. Someone had made careful decisions about what to keep and what to update. Serena noticed the details. She always did. Seo-jun drove. 40 minutes, mostly quiet. His English is good, Seo-jun said at a red light. He'll use it to test you. Test me how? He'll ask what you think of things. He wants to see if you say what you mean or what you think he wants to hear. What do you do? I say what I mean. And how does that go? He drove. She took that as an answer. Chairman Han was 70 and moved like a man who had decided aging was optional. He met them at the door himself. Shook Serena's hand, looked at her the way someone looks at something they're genuinely curious about, and led them inside without ceremony. Dinner was the 4 of them, the chairman, Seo-jun, Serena, and a great-aunt who didn't speak English and spent most of the meal evaluating Serena's posture. The chairman asked Serena about her work. She explained it plainly. He asked follow-up questions. Real ones. He understood more about finance than he was pretending not to. Halfway through the main course he said, in English, "You're not what I expected." What did you expect? Someone easier to read. Serena looked at him. Is that a compliment? He picked up his chopsticks. Not yet. Seo-jun was watching her from across the table. She caught it once, the way he was tracking the conversation, not with anxiety, just attention. Like he was watching to see what she'd do and finding out something he didn't already know. After dinner, the chairman walked her through a side room while Seo-jun took a call. Old photographs on the wall. Han Capital from the beginning. Buildings that were now landmarks. He built walls young, the chairman said, not looking at the photos. Some men do. They decide early that keeping people out is the same as being strong. It's not, of course. But the decision gets made before they're old enough to know the difference. Serena didn't pretend she didn't know who he was talking about. Why are you telling me this? The chairman looked at her. Because you're still here. And that tells me something about you. In the car going home, Seo-jun said nothing. Serena looked out the window. Seoul moved past them, lit and alive. At one point, he changed lanes and his hand brushed hers on the center console. He didn't move his hand immediately. She didn't move hers. 2 seconds. Maybe 3. Then he put both hands on the wheel. Neither of them said anything about it. This story is getting intense. Subscribe to Lily's Afro-Korean Mafia tales, like this video, and drop a comment. Did you catch what just happened in that car? The contract had 30 days left. Ji-yeon brought the paperwork on a Tuesday. Standard envelope. She set it on the kitchen counter while Seo-jun was in his office and Serena was making tea. Extension option is on page 4, Ji-yeon said. Both parties need to initial by the end of the month. She left. Serena opened the envelope. Page 4. Extension option. A checkbox. A line for initials. Seo-jun's side was blank. She stood at the counter for a while. Then she initialed her line. Put the document back in the envelope. Left it where Ji-yeon had placed it. That night her phone rang. Jade. The shrieking started before Serena finished saying hello. Serena. I need you to explain something to me right now. What happened? My tuition balance. Serena set down her glass. What about it? It's 0. The whole thing. Not just this semester. The whole remaining balance. Cleared. Done. There's a letter from the bursar's office saying the payment came through 8 months ago, but they're only now updating accounts because of some system migration. Serena. Jade's voice dropped. 8 months ago, I didn't even know I was going to Spelman yet. I hadn't accepted. Who sent 8 months ago? Serena moved to her room. Closed the door. I don't know yet. What do you mean you don't know? Jade. I will call you back. She hung up. Sat on the edge of the bed. 8 months ago, she was still in Atlanta. Still in that billing office. Still on that parking lot phone call with Ji-yeon. The acceptance call from Ji-yeon came 8 months ago. The tuition cleared 8 months ago. Her hands were completely steady. She noticed that. The way you notice something your body does when your mind goes very quiet. She didn't go to Seo-jun's office. She went to sleep. Lay there until 2 a.m. Got up. Went to the kitchen. Stood at the window with a glass of water and looked at Seoul. The flowers from that morning were still on the counter. Day 51. 2 weeks until the contract ended. She looked at them for a long time. Dr. Lim texted the next morning. Lunch near her office if she was free. She said yes. The restaurant was Korean-Italian, good light, not too loud. He was already there when she arrived. Stood up. Easy smile. They ordered. Talked. He was telling her about a patient when she put down her fork. I need to ask you something. He stopped. Read her face. Nodded. The flowers. White peonies. Dusty rose ribbon. Every morning for almost 2 months. Delivery at 7 a.m. He was very still. Was that you? A pause. Then he made a sound, not quite a laugh, but almost. Serena. He reached into his jacket pocket. Pulled out a slim case. Opened it. Inside, a single-dose epinephrine injector. I'm severely allergic to peonies. I carry this to weddings. She looked at the EpiPen. It wasn't you. It was never me. He said it gently. I wondered if you thought it was. I didn't know how to bring it up. The restaurant kept going around them. Plates moving. Conversations overlapping. Serena sat completely still. I'm sorry, she said. I should go. Serena. Thank you for lunch. I'll get this one. She left cash on the table. Walked out into the afternoon. Stood on the sidewalk. The city moved around her. She spent an hour and a half finding the florist. Not because it was hard. Because she went to 3 shops first, 2 in Apgujeong, 1 in Hanam, described the arrangement, showed them a photo she'd finally thought to take that morning. The first 2 didn't recognize it. Waesong Florals was a small shop on a side street in Gangnam. Window display with minimal flowers, which was how she knew it was expensive before she walked in. The woman behind the counter was in her 50s. White coat. Careful hands. Serena described the arrangements. The progression of them. The vase rotation. The dusty rose ribbon. The woman's expression changed. She knew exactly what Serena was describing. I can't give customer information, she said carefully. I'm not asking for a name. I'm asking if you have security footage from your entrance. A long pause. We keep 30 days. Show me the most recent pickup. The woman went to the back. Came out with a laptop. Turned it toward Serena. Footage. Side angle. A man coming through the door. Plain clothes, dark jeans, a simple jacket, a baseball cap pulled down. Tall. He moved to the display cases and stood there for several minutes, picking up stems individually. He pointed to something. The florist on the footage nodded, reached to the back shelf for a vase. The man took off his cap to look at the vase more closely. Serena's hand came down flat on the counter. Han Seo-jun. Same jaw. Same posture. Same way he held himself, shoulders straight, economical movement. He was standing in a flower shop in Gangnam in a baseball cap asking about vase rotation and peony freshness, like it was a board meeting. The woman behind the counter watched Serena watching the footage. He comes every week, she said quietly. In person. Always. He asks which ones open slowest. He doesn't want them to look tired when she paused. When the recipient sees them. Serena straightened up. How long? Since the standing order began. 11 weeks. Thank you. She walked out. Stood on the side street in Gangnam. Cars moving at the end of the block. An ordinary afternoon. Han Seo-jun had been walking into that flower shop every week since the day she moved in. Personally selecting the stems. Asking about freshness, about vases, about timing. Sending them anonymously. No card. No acknowledgement. Just flowers every morning at 7:14 while he walked out the door without looking at her. She stood there for a while. Then she went home to wait. She waited 2 hours. Sat on the couch in the living room with the lights on. Didn't open her laptop. Didn't turn on the TV. Just sat. At 9:07 p.m. the front door opened. Seo-jun came in. Jacket on. Briefcase. He registered her presence the moment he cleared the entryway. The way his movement changed, just slightly, told her that. He set his briefcase down by the door. Didn't take off his jacket. You're home early, he said. Sit down. He looked at her. A long look. Then he came into the living room and sat in the chair across from the couch. Not close. Not at a table. Just, across from her, in a room they'd never actually used together. Waesong Florals, she said. Side street off Non-Hyunaro, Gangnam. His face didn't move. You've been going every week. In person. Picking them yourself. Nothing. Seo-jun. I heard you. Then say something. He looked at his hands. Then back at her. The contract says no emotional entanglement. You sent me flowers for 11 weeks. Anonymously. That doesn't make it not what it is. He stood up. Walked to the window. Stood with his back to her, city below, arms at his sides. I didn't violate the contract. Stop talking about the contract. He turned his head slightly. Not all the way. It's all there is. No. She stood. It's all you're allowing there to be. There's a difference. He didn't answer. She crossed the room. Stopped a few feet from him. When he finally turned to face her, he had that expression she'd seen once before at the car, when his hand had stayed on hers 2 seconds too long. Like a man holding a position he knows he can't hold. You cleared Jade's tuition, she said. His jaw tightened once. 8 months ago. Before I said yes. Before we even met in person. She watched his face. You chose me before I chose you. And then you spent 12 months pretending it was a spreadsheet. The city glittered behind him. He was looking at her the way she'd seen him look at almost nothing, with his full attention, undivided, unguarded. I don't know how to do this, he said. Low. No performance in it. Just words. You think I do? It's different. How? He looked away. Because if I do this wrong, he stopped. Started again. I do most things correctly. Work. Strategy. Decisions. I have methods. I know how to measure outcomes. And this doesn't have a method. No. So you sent flowers anonymously for 11 weeks because that you could measure. You could give me something without having to risk anything. He looked back at her. He didn't say no. She held that for a moment. This man who ran a billion-dollar company and had stood in a flower shop in Gangnam in a baseball cap asking which peonies open slowest. I know why, she said quietly. Your grandfather told me some of it. The rest I figured out on my own. He had no right. Asterisk, he loves you. People who love you say things. Asterisk. Seo-jun turned fully away from the window. He was closer now. She hadn't tracked him moving, but here he was, 2 feet of space between them. I don't know what you want from me, he said. I want you to stop hiding it. Silence. Then, that's it? That's everything. He looked at her for a long time. The kind of look that has weight. She didn't drop it. Then he reached into his inside jacket pocket and set something on the side table between them. A receipt. Weizong Florals. Dated 11 weeks ago. The first order. She looked at it. I was going to cancel after the first week, he said. I didn't know why I did it in the first place. Why didn't you cancel? Because you stayed 15 minutes longer in the kitchen the second morning. She looked up. You were already gone by then. I wasn't, he said simply. I was in the hallway. The apartment was very quiet. You watched me look at the flowers. Yes. For 11 weeks you watched me. Not every day. Most days. She put her hand over her mouth. Not from distress. From something she didn't have a word for yet. He waited. Seo-jun. Yes. I left a cup of coffee out for you 3 weeks ago. I know. I didn't do it by accident. He was very still. I know that too, he said. She went to bed before he did. Lay there listening to the apartment. Him moving in the kitchen. The quiet sounds of a person existing in the same space. All the sounds she'd gotten used to without noticing she was getting used to them. At some point she heard his bedroom door. Then quiet. She closed her eyes. Morning. 7:13 a.m. She was already in the kitchen when the knock came. The delivery kid in the green jacket. Same bow. Same efficiency. He held out the arrangement. Biggest one yet. 12 peonies. Every shade of rose they made, apparently. The vase was different again, deep blue ceramic, completely unexpected against the pink of the flowers. She took it. Thank you, she said. He bowed. Left. She put the arrangement on the counter. Stood back. Seo-jun came in at 7:30. Stopped when he saw the new vase. Blue, she said. That's new. He poured his coffee. I thought you might like something different. She looked at him. You picked it? Yes. She looked at the flowers. Then back at him. I do like it. He picked up his coffee. Stood at the counter instead of heading to the door. Ji-yeon put the extension paperwork on your desk this morning, she said. I saw it. Your box is still unchecked. He set his cup down. Turned to face her fully. What do you want me to do with it? I want you to check it, she said. If that's what you want. A pause. It is. Then check it. He held her gaze for a moment. Then he walked to his office. She heard the drawer open. The sound of a pen. She turned back to the flowers. The blue vase against all that pink was genuinely beautiful. Different. Bold. She was still looking at it when he came back through the kitchen on his way out. He paused at the door. The blue was the florist's suggestion, he said. I almost said no. I'm glad you didn't. The door closed. She stood in the kitchen for a long time. The extension was signed. Ji-yeon collected the paperwork without a word, but she looked at Seo-jun's initialed box for just a moment before she put it in the folder. That evening Seo-jun came home at 7 p.m. 2 hours earlier than usual. He didn't announce it or explain it. Just came in, put his briefcase down, and walked to the kitchen. Serena was at the counter with her laptop. She glanced up. He opened the refrigerator. Looked at it. Closed it. Put on the kettle. I don't actually know what you eat, he said. What? For dinner. I don't know what you eat. She looked at him. He was still facing the kettle. Are you asking what I want for dinner? Yes. She closed her laptop. There's a Korean Mexican place 2 blocks down I've been wanting to try. He turned around. That sounds terrible. It has 4.8 stars. Korean Mexican. 4.8. He got his jacket. The restaurant was small and loud, and the fusion was genuinely strange and somehow completely worked. They sat across from each other at a wooden table and ordered things Seo-jun looked skeptical about and ate without complaint. Serena asked him how Han Capital started. Not the public version, she'd read that. The real one. He was quiet for a moment. Then he talked. Slow at first, then not. His grandfather had built the foundation, but the expansion, the international reach, the diversification, that had been Seo-jun. Starting at 26 with a single acquisition nobody believed in. What did your grandfather say when you told him the plan? He told me I was wrong. Were you? No. Did you tell him that? I didn't have to. The numbers told him. She ate a taco that had gochujang in it and was unexpectedly excellent. What would you have done if the numbers hadn't told him? He looked at her. They were going to tell him. I made sure of it. So failure wasn't in the plan. Failure is never in the plan. She smiled. Not at him, just at that. What? He said. Nothing. You're just exactly who I thought you were at the beginning. Is that a problem? No, she said. It's actually, she paused. Reassuring. He looked at her the way he'd been looking at her more, like he was adding data to something ongoing. You're not what I thought you were, he said. What did you think I was? Easier. Easier to what? To not think about. She put her fork down. He didn't look away. I'm going to take that as a compliment, she said. You should. They walked back. 2 blocks. The city at 9 p.m., food stalls still running, couples on the street, music from a bar half a block up. At the elevator, he pressed the button and they stood waiting. She could feel the space between them differently than before. Less negotiated. Less careful. The elevator opened. They rode up in silence. At her door, she stopped. He'd kept walking toward his room. Seo-jun. He turned. She didn't know exactly what she was going to say. She'd started the sentence on instinct. Thank you for dinner. A pause. You suggested it. You came. He held her gaze for a moment. Yes, he said. I did. He went to his room. She went to hers. The next morning the flowers came at 7:14 as always. But when Serena carried the arrangement to the counter and turned around, Seo-jun was already in the kitchen, leaning against the opposite counter with his coffee, watching her put the flowers in their spot. She arranged the last stem. Stepped back. You're watching me again, she said. Yes. She turned. You could just talk to me, you know. Instead of watching. I know. Then why don't you? He looked at the flowers. Then at her. Because when I watch, I don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing. She looked at him for a moment. Seo-jun, you haven't said the wrong thing in 3 weeks. He absorbed that. I'm aware. So say something. He pushed off the counter. Crossed the kitchen. Stopped close enough that she had to look up slightly. I don't want to extend for another 12 months, he said. Her stomach dropped. Oh. I want to renegotiate the terms completely. She went still. The contract as it stands ends in 30 days, he said. I want a new agreement. Not an extension. What kind of agreement? One without a term limit. The kitchen was very quiet. That's not a contract, she said carefully. No, he said. It's not. She looked at him. Really looked. The man who'd told her on night one it was business and nothing more. Who'd stood in a flower shop in Gangnam in a baseball cap. Who'd watched her from the hallway for 11 weeks and never said a word. I need to think, she said. I know. I'm not saying no. I know that too. He went back to his side of the counter. Picked up his coffee. Picked up his tablet. Stayed in the kitchen. She sat down at the island across from him with her own coffee. They didn't speak for 20 minutes. But neither of them left. Like this video and subscribe. Comment below, what would you say if he said that to you? Jade called at noon. Serena was at her desk when the call came in. She let it ring once, then picked up. Okay, I need to know everything, Jade said. Every single thing. Right now. Starting from when did this become real? How do you? Serena. You haven't complained about Seoul in 6 weeks. You stopped calling it the arrangement. Last Tuesday you described the view from the kitchen like you were in love with a window. Talk to me. Serena leaned back in her chair. It's complicated. Is it good complicated or bad complicated? A pause. Good. Jade made a sound that might have been a small scream. He's the one who sent the flowers. Silence. Jade, I'm processing. Take your time. He sent you flowers for 11 weeks and never signed them? Correct. And paid my tuition before you even got on the plane? 8 months ago. Yes. Another silence, longer. Serena. I know. He chose you before he met you. That's what it looks like. And now? And now he wants to renegotiate the contract into something without a term limit. Jade went completely quiet. Then, if you walk away from this man, I will never forgive you. I'm not walking away. Are you walking toward him? Serena looked out the window. I'm thinking. Stop thinking. Go home. She didn't go home early. She finished her work, answered her emails, sent 2 reports, left at the normal time. But in the elevator on the way up, she made a decision. Not dramatically. It arrived the way most real decisions do, quietly, after everything else has already settled. He was in his office when she got home. Door open, which was new. He'd started leaving it open last week. She wasn't sure he knew he was doing it. She stood in the doorway. He looked up. I've been thinking, she said. I know. You got home on time instead of early. When you're working something out, you keep routine. She stared at him. You've been paying that much attention. Yes. To my schedule. To everything, he said. Since the first week. She walked in. Sat in the chair across his desk. Same configuration as that very first meeting in Han Capital, her across from him, this desk between them. But nothing else was the same. The night I came back from dinner with Derek, she said. You were at the window in the dark. Yes. You knew where I'd been. Ji-eun mentioned the reservation. Were you angry? He considered that. I didn't have the right to be angry. That's not what I asked. Yes, he said. I was. Why? Because you walked in lighter than I'd seen you all month, and I didn't know yet if it was because of him. It wasn't. I know that now. How do you know? Because that was 3 weeks ago, he said. And since then you've been lighter every day. He didn't cause that. She held that. You noticed every day. Yes. Seo-jun, she said. What exactly were you afraid of? With the flowers. The anonymity. All of it. He was quiet for a long time. I've built everything in my life by controlling variables, he said. I know how to construct an outcome. I know how to work backward from where I want to end up. He paused. With you, I couldn't find the starting point. Every time I tried to calculate it, the calculation was wrong. Because you felt something you didn't plan for. Because I felt something I didn't believe I was supposed to feel. She leaned forward slightly. Nobody assigned you that rule, Seo-jun. You wrote it for yourself. He looked at her across the desk. I know, he said. I've known that for a while. When did you know? The morning you left coffee out for me. She didn't move. I stood in the kitchen for 4 minutes looking at it, he said. And I thought, this is a person who pays attention. And nobody has paid attention like that in, he stopped. A very long time. Your mother, she said quietly. His face didn't crack. But something shifted behind his eyes. The chairman told you. Not much. Enough. He stood. Moved to the window on the far wall, a smaller window than the living room, just the edge of the city visible. He stood with his hands behind his back. She left when I was 12. Not dramatically. She just left. Packed a bag and went to Busan and then somewhere after that. My grandfather raised me from there. Serena said nothing. I decided at 13 that depending on someone's presence was a bad investment strategy. And then I showed up. And then you showed up. He turned from the window. And you unpacked your single suitcase and made your bed with hospital corners and bought yourself a coffee grinder by the end of the first week. Like you were building something. I was just settling in. I know. That was the problem. Because I was watching someone settle in and I didn't want to need that. But you did. But I did. The office was quiet. Outside the door the penthouse hummed around them. Her flowers still on the kitchen counter. His jacket on the chair by the door. I'm not her, Serena said. I know. I don't pack bags and disappear. That's not who I am. I know who you are, he said. I've been watching for 12 weeks. Then act like it. He crossed the room. Not to the desk. Around it. He stopped directly in front of her chair. She tilted her head up. He was looking at her the way he'd been building toward for weeks, all the way, nothing held back. What does renegotiating look like to you? She said. No contract. No timeline. No rules about keeping it simple. And the separate rooms? A pause. Negotiable, he said. She stood up. They were very close now. I want one thing, she said. Tell me. No more anonymous flowers. Done. You bring them yourself. Done. And you knock on my door. He held her gaze. Done, he said. For the third time. Like a vow. She nodded once. Then she walked out of his office and went to bed. He stood in the doorway and watched her go. The last morning of the original contract arrived like any other. 7:13 a.m. The knock at the front door. Serena got there before Mrs. O. opened it. The delivery kid in the green jacket. But this time he was holding 2 boxes and a clipboard. Blake residence? Yes. Standing order cancellation confirmation. He held out the clipboard. Signature required. She looked at the clipboard. Seo-jun had canceled the standing delivery order. Last night. After their conversation. After she'd gone to bed. She signed. The kid bowed and left. She stood in the open doorway. Then she heard movement behind her. Turned. Seo-jun came through the hallway from the direction of his room. Plain clothes, dark trousers, a simple sweater, no jacket. She'd never seen him in a sweater before. He was carrying a paper bag in one hand. He stopped when he saw her at the door. It came, she said. The cancellation confirmation. Yes. He crossed the entryway. Held out the paper bag. She opened it. White peonies. 12 of them. Every shade of rose, the eucalyptus at the base. No ribbon. No vase. Just flowers, wrapped in plain paper, still cool from wherever he'd gotten them before 7 a.m. She looked up. You went this morning. Waesong opens at 6. You went to Gangnam at 6 in the morning. I wanted to get there before the standing order confirmation arrived, so there was no gap. She stared at him. You planned the logistics. Yes. Of course you did. She took the flowers. He had planned the exact transition from the anonymous delivery to the personal one, so she would not go a single morning without them. That was who this man was. He ran it like a project. He cared like an engineer. She walked past him to the kitchen. Found the blue vase. Filled it. Started arranging the stems. He came and stood at the island. Watching. Coffee unmade. Tablet on the counter untouched. Ji-yeon filed the contract termination this morning, he said. I know. The extension paperwork is also voided. I know that too. So technically, there's no contract. No. She placed the last stem. Stepped back. Looked at the arrangement. So what am I now, she said. She was looking at the flowers. But she was talking to him. He came around the island. Stopped beside her. Close. Whatever you want to be, he said. She turned her head. They were shoulder to shoulder. Close enough that she could see the exact moment he made a decision. He raised his hand. Slow. Deliberate. And tucked a loose piece of her hair back from her face. That was all. But his hand stayed there. Cupped the side of her face for just a moment. She put her hand over his. Neither of them moved. The city moved outside the windows. Seoul doing what Seoul always did, enormous and indifferent and alive. In the kitchen, 2 people stood still. I'm staying, she said. I know. Not because of Jade's tuition. I know that. Or the flowers. I know. I'm staying because you went to Gangnam at 6 a.m. to make sure there was no gap. He looked at her. That's a strange reason. That's exactly the reason. He almost smiled. She'd started to be able to see it before it happened, a slight softening around his eyes, a fraction of something that wanted to be warmth before his face could catch up. Seo-jun. Yes. Knock on my door tonight. He held her gaze. At what time? 7:14, she said. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Once. She turned back to the flowers. He made his coffee. They stood in the kitchen together, not talking, not negotiating, not managing terms. Just 2 people in the same space on an ordinary morning. The blue vase on the counter. The city outside. His coffee. Her silence. An hour. Gone just like that. At 7:14 that evening, a knock at her door. She was sitting on her bed reading. She'd known it was coming. Had known all day. Still, when it came, something in her chest moved. She crossed the room. Opened the door. He was standing there with a single white peony. Still in the sweater. No performance. No prepared statement. Just him. She looked at the flower. At him. You're learning, she said. He held it out. Not fast enough, he said. But I'm learning. She took it, stepped back, opened the door wider. He crossed the threshold. 3 weeks later, Chairman Han Byung-il called at 8 a.m. Seo-jun answered. The chairman said, Your assistant seems nervous. I take that as a good sign. Ji-yeon is never nervous. She smiled at me when I arrived. Ji-yeon does not smile at me. Something has changed in that building. Grandfather. Don't grandfather me. I've been waiting 16 months for a call that isn't about earnings reports. This isn't that call either. A pause. Is she there? Seo-jun looked across the kitchen. Serena was at the island with her coffee and her laptop, one leg folded under her, completely focused on her screen. The blue vase on the counter. New flowers today, deep pink and white, her choice for once, from a different shop in Itaewon she'd discovered on her own. Yes, he said. Put her on. Absolutely not. Seo-jun. Goodbye, grandfather. He hung up. Serena looked up. Was that the chairman? Yes. What did he want? To involve himself. She smiled. Looked back at her screen. He went back to his coffee. In Gangnam, the florist at Waesong checked her standing order ledger that afternoon. The Blakehon account, the one the quiet man in the baseball cap had maintained religiously for 11 weeks, was marked cancelled. She looked at the name on the cancellation form. Then she smiled. Just lightly. The standing orders that ended like that, she knew from experience, almost never meant the flowers had stopped. They just meant someone had started signing their name. The package arrived from Atlanta a week later. Jade had sent it without warning. A card taped to the outside. For both of you. Don't overthink it. J. Inside, a bag of Georgia pecans, a jar of her mother's peach preserves, the recipe Serena had taught her, their mother's recipe, and a handwritten note on yellow paper folded in 4. Serena read the note at the kitchen counter. Quiet. Seo-jun came in midway through, saw her face, and stopped. She looked up. Her eyes were wet. She didn't explain. She handed him the note. He read it. Jade had written about their mother. About the last months. About what Serena had carried alone. About the debt. About how Serena had never let Jade know any of it was hard, had always answered the phone like everything was fine, had driven to that billing office by herself and sat in a parking lot and made a call to a stranger in Seoul and turned it into a plan. At the bottom Jade had written, She deserves someone who plans for her for once. From what I can tell, that's you. Don't waste it. Seo-jun stood at the counter holding the yellow paper. A long moment. Then he set it down carefully. Folded it back in 4. Exactly how it had been. He went to the refrigerator. Took out 2 things. Made breakfast. Full breakfast, eggs, toast, sliced fruit, the good coffee, the ceramic cups Serena had bought at a market in Insadong 3 weeks ago. He set a plate in front of her. Sat across from her. Neither of them spoke. They ate. Outside, Seoul moved the way it always did. Enormous, indifferent, alive. Inside, the blue vase. The new flowers. The yellow note, folded on the counter. A man who had learned, slowly, imperfectly, with the focus he applied to everything he decided mattered, how to be in the same room without hiding. A woman who had come to a city with a suitcase and a plan and found something she hadn't planned for it all. And the question neither of them had said out loud yet, still hanging in the air of the apartment, unhurried, patient, waiting for the exact right moment to be asked. 2 days later Serena was at her desk when Ji-yeon called. Miss Blake. Ji-yeon. We've been over this. Serena. A pause. There's something you should know. Her voice was different. Not the professional even tone. Something underneath it. The original referral, Ji-yeon said. When I first called you in Atlanta. You asked who referred you. I said I couldn't say. I remember. There was no referral, Ji-yeon said. Mr. Han found you himself. Your work. An article you'd written on emerging markets. She stopped. Seemed to be choosing words. He researched you for 3 weeks before he asked me to make the call. Serena's hand stopped moving on her keyboard. He found me first. Yes. 3 weeks before the call. Yes. Serena, Ji-yeon paused again. I don't usually do this. But I've worked for him for 7 years and I have never, she stopped herself again. Just, Ji-yeon. Don't let him talk himself out of it. He will try. He's already tried twice this week and come back from it. But if you give him room to overthink, he will construct an exit, because that's what he does when he gets afraid. I know, Serena said quietly. He doesn't, Ji-yeon said. He thinks he's being strategic. He's terrified. The call ended. Serena sat at her desk for a moment. Then she picked up her keys and went home early. He was in his office. Door open. She walked in. Stood in front of his desk. He looked up. Ji-yeon called me, she said. Something moved across his face. I see. You found me. 3 weeks before the call. There was no referral. He set his pen down. No. An article. Emerging Markets in Southeast Asia. Seoul Business Review. February. You read it. Twice. She stared at him. Seo-jun. You were telling me that you found me in a business journal, researched me for 3 weeks, had your assistant call me in Atlanta, negotiated a contract, brought me to Seoul, sent me flowers for 11 weeks, cleared my sister's tuition, stood in a flower shop in Gangnam in a baseball cap. Yes, he said. And you still thought you might talk yourself out of this? He looked at her steadily. I think about it sometimes, he said. Whether I'm what you would have chosen. Without the contract. Without all of it. She walked around the desk. Stood directly in front of him. He didn't lean back. Didn't move. Just looked up at her. I'm here, she said. In your city. In your apartment. Drinking your terrible Americano every morning. It's excellent coffee. Seo-jun. Yes. I'm choosing you. Right now. Not the contract. Not the flowers. You. He looked at her for a long time. Then he stood. Same height difference as always. Her tilting her chin up. Him looking down. The exact same geometry they'd had since the first morning in his kitchen, except now there was nothing in the way of it. He said, I found you in February. In an article. You wrote one sentence in the conclusion that I read 6 times. You said, growth without infrastructure is just speed with no direction, she said. Yes. That's basic finance, Seo-jun. I know. But you said it like you meant it about more than finance. She looked at him. I did, she said. He nodded. Once. The way he always nodded when something was decided. Then he leaned down and kissed her. Not the way she expected, not cautious, not calculated. Direct. Like a man who had been working up to something for 8 months and was finally done working up to it. She reached up and held the front of his sweater. Neither of them moved for a long time. When they finally did, he pressed his forehead against hers. Eyes closed. I should have knocked sooner, he said. Yes, she said. You should have. A pause. I'm knocking now. I know. Is it too late? She pulled back just enough to look at him. Ask me that again in 10 years, she said. I'll tell you then. He opened his eyes. Almost smiled. 10 years, he said. That's a term limit. Call it a benchmark. He looked at her. Something full and unhurried in his face. I can work with a benchmark, he said. That night Jade called. Serena answered. Well, Jade said immediately. Well, what? Serena Elaine Blake. I sent a jar of Mama's preserves across an ocean. I need a report. Serena was standing at the window. Han River below. Seoul doing what Seoul did. From the kitchen behind her, the sound of Seo-jun making dinner. He decided last Tuesday he was going to learn 1 new recipe a week. Tonight was his 3rd attempt at doenjang jjigae. It smelled remarkable. He's cooking, Serena said. The Korean billionaire is cooking. For the 2nd time this week. Silence. Then Jade's voice softer. Mama would have loved this story. Serena looked at the river. Yeah, she said. She would have. The sounds from the kitchen. The river below. The city. Jade. Yeah. Thank you for the preserves. I sent 2 jars. The second one is hidden under the pecans. Why? Because knowing you, you'll make it last 6 months, and I want him to have some too. A pause. Don't ration everything, Serena. Not anymore. You don't have to. She held the phone for a moment after Jade hung up. Then she heard. Serena. From the kitchen. Yes. Come taste this. She smiled at the window. Is it ready? I don't know. That's why I need you to taste it. She crossed the apartment. Went into the kitchen. He was at the stove, wooden spoon in hand, doing the thing he always did when he was focused, a slight crease between his brows, complete concentration, like this bowl of jjigae was a quarterly strategy meeting. She came up beside him. He held out the spoon. She tasted it. It's good. He looked at the pot. It needs something. It's good, Seo-jun. It's not what my grandfather's cook made. You're not your grandfather's cook. He looked at her sideways. She looked back. It's good, she said again. It's yours. That's enough. He held the spoon for a moment. Okay, he said. They ate at the kitchen island. The flowers on the counter, her choice today, from Itaewon, bright and untraditional. The blue vase. Halfway through dinner his hand came across the counter and covered hers. He didn't look up from his bowl. She didn't look up from hers. But neither of them moved their hand. 3 weeks later, on an ordinary Tuesday, a letter arrived from Han Capital's legal department. Ji-yeon had sent it by messenger. Formal envelope. Proper seal. Seo-jun opened it at breakfast. Read it. Set it face down on the counter. Serena looked at it. What is it? The board has a question. What question? They want to know if my wife will be attending the annual shareholder dinner in April. She looked at him. Your wife. That's what it says. The contract is terminated. The board doesn't know that. What did you tell them? He looked at her. I haven't replied yet. A beat. Seo-jun. Yes. What are you asking me? He turned the letter over. Pushed it across the counter toward her. She looked at it. Then at him. April is 3 months away, she said. I know. A lot could happen in 3 months. Yes, he said. It could. She held his gaze. Answer them, she said. How should I answer them? She picked up her coffee. Tell them yes. She went back to her laptop. He sat across from her. Picked up his phone. Typed a reply to Ji-yeon. Sent it. Picked up his coffee. The apartment settled around them. The flowers. The river. The morning moving forward. And in a legal department on the 18th floor of Han Capital, Ji-yeon read her boss's reply to the board inquiry. She'll be there. And for the second time in 7 years, she smiled. If this hit the way it was supposed to, like, subscribe and ring that bell. Drop a comment and tell me which scene got you the most. Was it the flower shop? The baseball cap? The knock on the door? See you in the next one.